G'day guys. Yeah, I'm really unhappy. I was just about to make this video about rugby news. Just give you a quick update. A little bit of personal stuff came up in my life, and yeah. So my mother has been invited or was invited to Queenstown in a private function that celebrates high achievers in her fields. And yeah, she went to the private function. Apparently, the groundskeeper or whatever, one of the staff members, blocked her car, accusing her of trespassing, and swore at her and her friend. Okay? I don't care where you are. I don't care who you are. That's a fucking disgrace. I will sort this out. Okay? Seriously, if you ever go to holiday in New Zealand, don't go to fucking Queenstown. And I hope for God that the snow, global warming, melts all the snow at Queenstown and it becomes a dead fucking city. All the roads are building for the proper developers, and yet not spending a fucking penny on the bike track that millions of tourists use every year. I hope that god-awful place melts all the snow and it ceases to fucking exist. Awful. Awful people. Anyway, by the way, every other part of New Zealand, absolutely wonderful. Wonderful people, wonderful scenery. Just don't go to Queenstown. God-awful. God-awful place. Disgraceful people. Disgraceful. Just disgraceful. Anyway, let's talk about rugby. Before I rant about this shit for the next half an hour, let's focus and talk about rugby. So last week, I actually forgot to talk about something that's really, really, really important. When they updated the schedule for the rugby championship for the next 5 years, it was initially said, like maybe a few months ago, that the Bledisloe Cup next year was gonna be only one test match here in Australia, right? It got me very excited. I was like circling dates on my calendar, trying to figure out when this, tickets could be pre-released. I get my hands on it immediately because we can guarantee to win the Bledisloe Cup. But hey, apparently the New Zealand Rugby is not that stupid. They actually updated last week, which I forgot to mention, or I missed this part, because reading in pretty small words that the Bledisloe Cup, I can't zoom in this for some reason, because the Bledisloe Cup we played, it says here, home and away. So there'll be 2 tests next year. No free win for Australia, but hey, got me excited for a second. But that's good news because I love Bledisloe Cup 2 test series. Like I said in my previous videos, I think they should go to try difference to determine the winner instead of just draw 1 win each. Just to spice things up a little bit. I talk about why my initial thought on points difference, I didn't really like that because I thought, sometimes teams could just milk points to try to stay ahead. We saw that, I saw something like that in the girls' State of Origin a couple years ago, which wasn't great because the losing team was just trying to keep that winning margin from last game going instead of actually trying to win the game. That's at hand, which wasn't a good look. So I thought try scoring, the game of the century, 2000 was remembered for the great amount of tries that both teams scored. And that's why everybody remembered for the game of the century, not for a bunch of kicking penalties and drop goals and whatnot. And I think we should bring that spirit back. And I think that the Bledisloe Cup should be, a unique event that only will be determined by the team that scores the most tries in the end of the day. And I think that'll be very, very exciting for a lot of fans of both matches. And that'll just push not the team a little bit. I think I'm noticing that both teams are becoming more and more conservative. Just nudge the teams a little bit towards the winning column, towards the that Australia New Zealand style that we used to know, that we saw so much success in the past. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get something like that implemented going into soon enough. Maybe next year, but who knows, right? These things could take forever. With that being said, Dr. Rassie actually came out this week and talked about potentially wanting to move the rugby. He suggested that he wanted to move the rugby championship to the same time as the Six Nations. So all the teams all over the world could be picking at the same time. So instead of having the rugby championships teams pick, I guess the Six Nation teams picked earlier, and then the rugby championships teams pick, according to Rassie, he thinks that the rugby championship teams picks in July, whereas the the Six Nation teams picks in November. But that's according to Rassie. Some countries are flat, others are picking in November, and we are flat. So he thinks that November is a period where the Southern Hemisphere teams are flat, because obviously after the Rugby Championship, everybody's a bit tired. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that like one of the reasons why we win the Rugby World Cup? Because, the Southern Hemisphere win the Rugby World Cup because we have Rugby Championship right before the World Cup in November, because we're peaking towards the World Cup, whereas the Six Nation teams has to take like a 6-month break essentially before they actually go into the World Cup. So it's like a bit of an awkward timing for them. I don't know, Rassie, Dr. Rassie, I'm not sure if I agree with you. This is a great idea for us. I think if the Six Nation teams are smart, they should move the Six Nations into July. But that's summer for them, so it's not really possible for them. But yeah, it's and also it is gonna be summer in February. It's gonna be super hot for all of us in Southern Hemisphere, and I mean I don't even know that's like a functioning idea just because of the weather. But hey, interesting thing that he brought up. Let me know your thoughts from Dr. Rassie. I do think that definitely don't change it, even if it's possible. Don't change it, because I do think that this is a huge advantage for us to build towards the Rugby World Cup in November. And yeah, Dr. Rassie seems to be a little bit different on that idea. With that being said, obviously, the biggest grudge match of the century, actually maybe not century, the biggest grudge, because that will be the Rugby World Cup final against England here in Sydney in 2027. But hey, the biggest grudge match of the decade is happening this weekend, and that's going to be the mighty Wallabies versus Eddie Jones's Japan. I want to be very clear, it's Eddie Jones's Japan this weekend, and obviously the pain and suffering from Eddie Jones that inflicted against the people of Australia a couple of years ago, the wound is still there, right? Just just talking about it is making me a little bit angry. But hey, Eddie Jones will be, putting out. The team hasn't been announced yet. Maybe it has been now that I've talked about a bit of a whatever. But yeah, so the team is going to be announced probably tomorrow. But yeah, this is going to be a huge match. A lot of players this weekend will have played under Eddie Jones in that horrendous Rugby World Cup 2023, and especially the big return for the Wallabies. Carter Gordon, one of the Eddie Jones's favorite selections at 10. He's going to come out and potentially make a statement this weekend against Eddie Jones in Japan. So this will be one of the things where I think Eddie Jones will claim credit both ways, right? If Carter Gordon do really well, Eddie Jones will go, yeah, I told you, I built him towards the future, mate. He's going to say, right, oh yeah, because of me, I built him towards the future. And then if he does poorly, he's going to go, oh yeah, you see why we fucked up at the World Cup, because he's shit, right? And he won't say that, but he's gonna take credit either way, right? If Carter Gordon does well, he's gonna take credit. If Carter Gordon did poorly, he's gonna shift the blame to Carter Gordon for his own failures in 2023. But hey, it is what it is. I hope that maybe Carter Gordon just gets come off the bench, maybe not at all. I hope, and then just flog Eddie Jones and his Japanese team for good in Japan this weekend, because God, we need this one. We need this grudge match to happen. And seriously, if we lose this one, I'm not gonna think about that. If we lose this one, oh boy, I might have to I don't know, I have to seek some professional help after that. So hopefully not, for my sake and for the country's sake. Hopefully we do not lose this one against Japan this weekend against Eddie Jones. But yeah, you know Eddie Jones, he's got a lot of rhetoric already, and obviously there's a lot of players in Japan, both from New Zealand and from Australia as well, so they can have a lot of physicality. All the exports, what's his name? I think the Juan Dern's one, and there's a couple, Cornelson, I think, and there's a couple other guys as well in Japan. We'll see when they announce it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about them on the weekend, but there's a lot of imports for Japan. And Eddie Jones, indeed, has been building towards the future, so he's going to have some young talents coming through there as well, and we'll have to wait and see how this is going to go. So yeah, we're going to have to, this is a very, very highly anticipated game. Oh boy, just thinking about it is stressing me out. Hopefully everything don't go awry for me. Oh boy, so stressed. Anyway, moving on. Dr. Rassie has announced the squad will be going on tour for the November Test Series. So yeah, here's the squad, and there's already a couple of injuries that's coming through. So the Achia Snyman, potentially injured from the weekend. They're monitoring him. And then Jano Augustus, also apparently injured as well. So a couple of injuries there, but overall the squad is quite a few youngsters for the Springboks, and Rassie is definitely looking at taking this opportunity to build towards the future a little bit. We'll talk about Eben Nesmith in a second, so let's have a look at the squad for the November Test Series for the mighty Springboks. So yeah, first of all, we've got Lou Diacha, Ben Jason Dixon. He's back in the squad. He's been out for quite a bit. Had some contract disputes for the Stormers with the Stormers. Peter Step Dutoy is back. Thomas Dutoy, Eben Nesmith, Johan Huebla. He's back here. John Klein. We got Sia Khaleesi. We got Wiko Low. We got Malcolm Marks. We got Franco Moster. We got Ox Nche. We got Ruan Nokia. Zachary Portham. Huaga Smith. Achia Snyman, I mentioned, he's potentially out. We got Jorge Steenkamp. We got Marco van Staden. We got Bowen, the Fat Thor, Fenta. We got Jan Hendricks, Vessels. We got Jasper Visa, the red card, the headbutt machine is back. Curdy out inside in the back line. The greatest Springboks in the history of Springbok. Damien Willemse. We got Andre Esterhuizen. We got Sasha Vanberg Ngomezulu. Potentially the greatest Springbok in the history of Springbok as well. We'll have to see. We got Ethan, not a hooker. Cheslin Kobe. Jesse Creel. We got Manila Bork. Kanan Moody. Andre Pollard. Kobes Reinach. We got Morne Vanderberg. We got Edville Vandermerver. Damien Willemse again. Sorry, Damien Dialenda, this one. Oh my god. I just thought Damien. I just assumed it's Damien Willemse. It's actually Damien Dialenda. Damien Willemse is here. And finally, Grant Williams. Sorry. Grant Williams is here as well. And a few players on standby, including Evan Ruiz. That's Bungi Bonabi as well on standby. Some of the bigger players being rested as well. Lukamiu on standby. Makolozo Pimpi, and then Sebastian de Klerk, a couple backs on standby there as well. So yeah, rather fresh faces for the Springboks with a mix of core veterans. Probably the best way to put it. But yeah, it is going to be very, very massive with the opening match against Japan, I believe. Is it against Japan? I think it's the opening match against Japan for the Springboks. So yeah, Eben Nesmith, the man that curls 75 kilograms, I've been told. Biggest arms in the world. Has made a bit of a book reflecting on some of the times at the Springboks, and he talked about the the time when Coetzee was the coach and the team culture was really bad back then, and people were out partying midweek before playing the All Blacks, and no one really cared about anything, and that's when they got flogged, absolutely destroyed by the All Blacks due to some of those poor team coaches. So yeah, interesting to see. I think the good thing about the Springboks is they actually found somebody like Rassie with the players' respect, and everybody worked together with the Sia Khaleesi as the captain, leading everyone out of that ditch. There was a lot of Aussie players like James O'Connor. A huge generation of our players were lost. A couple of decades ago, like a decade ago, when there was bad, a lot of the players were out and people just left for overseas. The team culture just never really put back in place. So I think that the Springboks, the fact that they got themselves back in the right headspace was really, really a blessing for the team. And it's not guaranteed to get back. Like we saw some of the Wallabies, like James O'Connor missed out probably a good chunk of his career for the Wallabies because of some shenanigans off field. I never really got back. Only got back late in his career as well. A lot of that wasted time, and to some extent Quade Cooper as well there. So lots of talent being wasted because some of this stuff off field. It's good that the Springboks actually got themselves back in place. That's probably the key here. Moving on, we've talked about this. Yeah, so obviously the mighty All Blacks will be playing against the mighty Irish. What am I saying? Helm with the king returning to the head coach position. Andy Farrell. So the King returns to Ireland to lead the team against the All Blacks in Chicago. You know what they say. This is still a couple weeks away, by the way. You know what they say? History never repeats itself, but the history does rhyme. So is the All Blacks going to suffer another loss at Chicago? Nobody knows. But the Irish has been pretty on a bit of a a bit of a wounded place from the Six Nations, and I think they're going to look for a strike back against the All Blacks. All Blacks also a bit of a wounded animal as well from the Springboks. So yeah, 2 bruised animals, 2 dogs back against the wall, and see who's gonna walk out alive. This will be a huge event for all of us in Chicago. But for the Irish, a couple of players are injured. Tommy Farrell and Jimmy O'Brien is out, and Mac Hansen has been ruled out with a foot injury as well. So huge loss for Andy Farrell already, and still got a week to go. Then they're also managing and monitoring, I guess, Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw to see if they're going to be okay. And and this will here, Edwin Idogo, I don't know, and Brian Gleason are both out as well. But the big names, Bundy Aki, Robbie Henshaw, really wants to see them back, and the Mac Hansen has been ruled out. So yeah, Ireland's looking a little bit shaky, and the All Blacks will be coming for a revenge at Chicago. So yes, the New Zealand as well has confirmed a bit of a shake-up in the under 20 Super Rugby teams. So they're not gonna do that essentially anymore. They're gonna have a new system where they have an expanded squad. So 15 players, I guess under 20 players, will be signed to an extended squad in Super Rugby, and they're gonna be playing, I guess, a different tournament to Super Rugby, which is basically the under 20 game. But yeah, sorry, not 15, 12 players will be considered each team. So essentially, each Super Rugby team will be officially given the ability to recruit 12 additional young players as part of the training squad to grow this players up into their ranks, essentially create more depth. And this only applies to under 20 players, essentially, to give them more pathways to a lot of these youngsters, which I think is a great idea. They're also going to have a draft system for the regions. Each region is going to be able to keep 6 players locally, lock down 6 players, and then the other 6 is free to grab for grabs of every other region, so they're going to have to all shuffle that around. So yeah, I think it's a great system. I do think that, I've talked about in my last video, New Zealand needs more game time for their core players, and I think that having higher level competition, I guess competition coming up from underneath, is really important as well. So this is definitely a good move to the right direction there for the Kiwis. Mark Nawaqanitawase has been named one of the players of the Dali M team of 23. He didn't quite get the Dali M medal. Dali M is basically like the player of the year for the Rugby League. He scored the highest try scorer this year, 23 tries, I think. But his fellow teammate, 24 tries, his fellow teammate, the greatest of all time, James Tedesco from the Cox, my local team, the Cox, the Sydney Cox. He's also the captain of Australia, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, got Dali M Player of the Year, with Nawaqanitawase only being mentioned as the team of Dali M Team of the Year. So still pretty good, but he will be looking at debuting for the Kangaroos, which is the Australian Rugby League team, before switching to Union. I think he's going to England. I think he's going to UK for after the Rugby League switch. But hey, dual international for 2 different codes. It's pretty good. Pretty good for Marky Mark, eyeing a Wallaby return as well. So Gregor Townsend, the Scottish head coach, has been flagged this week for taking up a job with the Red Bull team from, what is it? Basically England, the Red Bull team, as a advisor. 30 days a year, he's going to be making some extra coin with the Red Bull global rugby strategy as a non-executive position. So yeah, it's going to make some extra coin advising the Red Bull on their investments in the Newcastle team, who's currently at the bottom. I'm guessing that's what he's doing. But hey, it is a little bit of someone just texted me, maybe to do with my mother's situation. But anyway, I'll have a look at that later. But yeah, so maybe to do with the team, but maybe to do with the overall broader strategy for the Red Bull, but no one knows. But still, people think that, as a national head coach, you shouldn't be doing that. But then again, I mean, it's not really against conflict interest, because Red Bull is a regional team, and he's not really he's only getting more information about, I guess, one of his competition. Potentially not really a conflict of interest. I don't know, but people are just jealous that he's making more money on the side. Moving on, Owen Farrell, the guy that pretty much, lost the third game for the Lions. He's the one that threw that stupid pass and lost the Wallabies. I think Jorgensen scored on the other end, and in the third test, and pretty much, only was selected because of his daddy was the coach. He's been left out of the Steve Bothwick squad for the Autumn Internationals. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I thought Owen Farrell's selection was a bit of a head scratcher. Anyway, speaking of interesting, there's another new guy from the England squad, Nawaqanitawase. He scored 5 tries against the Sharks in the Gal Prem on the weekend, and then he was immediately caught up to the England training squad for the week. So yeah, he's definitely rising faster than, who's the other guy? Henry Pellock. He's rising faster than Pellock. And and finally, not finally, but this weekend will also be not this weekend, but there is basically a playoff coming up for the final spot for the Rugby World Cup. So 4 teams. Namibia will be playing against Samoa in an elimination, and then Belgium will be playing against Paraguay in elimination, and then the winner of the 2 will play for the winner to take the final spot at the Rugby World Cup. And the interesting part here is both Namibia and Samoa has been basically like ongoing guaranteed team at the Rugby World Cup, and basically one of them is going to be missing out. At least one of them going to miss out to represent at the Rugby World Cup, and I really hope Samoa is not the one that gets missed out. They beat Italy a couple years last year, so really, really good team, and I really hope that they don't get squeezed out from the Rugby World Cup, because rugby is such an important sport in Samoa. I think World Rugby, however this set up, I don't know what's going on here. I think the way World Rugby is set up needed to consider more sports for the Pacific Island nations, because this is really not acceptable. Like, rugby is basically the backbone of Samoan rugby, and if they don't make it to Rugby World, Samoan culture, one of the big thing, if they don't make it, it'll be a really big shame. And I think World Rugby is a big failure at World Rugby's part if that were to be the case. And I know there are some corruption issues at Samoa there as well, but yeah, it is tough. So injury update for some big names in the Scotland team. Duhan van der Merwe and Darcy Graham are both going to be okay to play against the USA in the opening round in November. So Rugby Awards in Australia, last week we talked about Swatli was rumoured to be the player of the year, and luckily he's not. The right player is selected. Len Nikitau has been outstanding for the Wallabies. I thought Henry Wilson could be selected, but apparently Nikitau is great as well. I thought it was outstanding as well. Swatli got Rookie of the Year, but I think Len Nikitau getting the Player of the Year was absolutely the right decision, not just giving everything to Swatli immediately. Will Rowlands has decided to retire from Wales Rugby. And then finally, this weekend is the NPC Final. Canterbury will be playing against Otago. Go Canterbury! Go the Crusaders! And one interesting thing is Christian Leowilli actually plays for Otago. I thought for sure he plays for the Crusaders for Canterbury, but no, he's not. He plays for Otago. And this will be an interesting showdown. Lots of big names from the All Blacks as well in the lineups. Christian Leowilli it's for Otago. But yeah, interesting game. I might watch this on Stan. I think it's on Stan. But yeah, what was really interesting was that both these teams almost got eliminated in the quarterfinals. Otago and Waikato, like one last-minute penalty goal, 45-meter out in the corner to win the game over Waikato. And then Canterbury as well. This game went to Manukau. This game went to extra time. And basically, it was a draw. And then they went to extra time before Canterbury finally put the game away. So two teams almost got eliminated, and then went to the semi-final, just absolutely flogged their oppositions. Bay of Plenty and Hawke's Bay just got absolutely destroyed, whereas both these teams had a relatively easy games. in the quarterfinal, they were playing Hawks without easy games, and they just got absolutely hammered in the semi-finals. So this is going to be an absolute huge showdown this weekend for the NPC. And there it is, New Zealand Rugby. That's the best I can do to promote the NPC for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to get on the phone and sort out this absolute disgrace from Queenstown. And thanks for watching. Cheers.